Welcome to the lighter side of the spectrum, the podcast that celebrates the multiple hats we wear and the juggling acts we perform in life. Whether you're parenting kids and teens on the autism spectrum, navigating the ever-evolving healthcare industry, or building a more inclusive and impactful world, this is your space to find connection, inspiration, and growth. Together, we'll share stories, tackle challenges, and explore how innovation and inclusion create better outcomes for everyone. Because no matter the spectrum, there's always a lighter side. Now here's your host, David Kaufer.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the lighter side of the spectrum, the show where we celebrate inclusion, innovation, and the people building a better world for our kids and community. And today's episode is a special one because I'm talking to Chad Culver from the Peyton Project, a nonprofit created to support autistic and non-speaking individuals and their families. I had the great opportunity to meet Chad and his great wife, Karen, and Peyton at a surf camp we'll be talking about. Stone and I attended back in May, and this was an experience that felt like pure belonging. The Peyton Project helped make this kind of magic possible, and today we're going to go deeper, talk about the family's journey, Peyton's path to communication, and their vision for helping other spellers and non-speakers access real support and real opportunity. So let's get to it. Chad, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to catch up with you. It's been a while.
It has been a while. Yeah, we've kind of had this in the works since May, I think.
Yes.
Excuse me. I'm glad that we were able to make it happen. It's a great way to kick off 2026, as this will be running in early January. So again, happy holidays, happy New Year to you and all of our audience, right?
Same to you. Yeah, it's been a long. I enjoy this couple of weeks of downtime between the holidays to kind of regroup and reset and get ready for the next year. So I'm excited to hit the ground running again.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you have a very full plate all the time, both kind of personally and professionally, right? Juggling the family and work life and the Peyton Project.
Yeah, it's really taken off. We started this a couple of years ago. Just Peyton wanted to start a foundation with Christmas money to help kids like him, and it's gotten into where it is we spend a lot of time in the evenings and the weekends. We have a social media person that we pay. Other than that, it's all volunteers, our family and some board members and stuff. So, but it's worth it, get to see other kids get help. As you said, the surf camp, that was incredible. I can't wait till May to do it again. But it's definitely neat to try to, any little things we can do to help kids or help other adults like Peyton. It's a pretty cool thing to do.
It's super cool. Yeah. And like I said, the sense of belonging, the community, and it was just fun. Right. And we'll talk about that, but I want to back up a little bit, just again, for our listeners and viewers. I want them to understand what your journey has been like and what Peyton's journey has been like. Because, every journey is unique, but I think sometimes we find, some areas of overlap and things that we share, and just kind of talk about what brought you to this point.
Yeah, Peyton was 2.5 when he was diagnosed with autism. We never noticed anything up till 2.5. I don't really know that there was anything caused it. We honestly feel like that's the way God made Peyton. At 2.5 years old, he did regress. He started playing with rocks. He started kind of pulling into his shell.
I'm only smiling because Stone was a big, he loved to play with rocks as well.
Yeah, you can see a lot of similarities with Peyton and Stone. That's what's one of the cool things about surf camp. But we started getting, he was finally diagnosed a little over, maybe a little past 3. He was diagnosed. Never forget it, the day he was diagnosed. The woman who diagnosed him, I won't say her name on here because I'm not a fan of her, but the woman who diagnosed him, as soon as she diagnosed him, she turned to us and told us how to get broccoli and stuff into his smoothies. And that's all he needed to know was how to feed him nutrition. He would never live a meaningful life. It was awful.
No.
To this day, it's still the worst day of my life. But we, as any parents, we dove in. We did everything we could to try to figure it out. We had him all over the country. We had 30 hours a week of ABA from 3 to 5.5 in our house.
30 hours.
Yes.
And Because that's what you were told to do, right?
That's it.
Basically,
That's
right?
it. And I don't think I don't think that it ever hurt Peyton. I think it was I think a lot of his structure and a lot of the way he minds us and listens and follows direction. Like he's 17 now, so he doesn't listen to everything Dad says because he's 17.
He's a
But
teenager.
yeah,
so-
he's a teenager, but he's always had a very good temperament, and we've always had people tell us, even before we could communicate with him, we've always had people tell us that Peyton seemed different than other kids on the spectrum. So, but yeah, we dove in and did. We had a group out of California where you're in Oregon, but in California, Center for Autism Related Disorder CARD. They managed our clinic in Tennessee for us. I mean, we did everything we could figure out, and Peyton's in special ed, struggling, to get his education. And then as soon as we found Spelling to Communicate, kind of a light bulb went off with him, and he said, I want my education. And we fought and got it to where he could get gen ed, and he's a junior in high school in gen ed right now with a 3.0. So I'm very proud of him.
That is awesome. And I would love to have you talk a little bit more about that, because as great as it is, obviously, for Peyton, for the family, sadly, you guys are kind of the exception to the rule. To be able to get that kind of access and accommodation and education, which he's thriving, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think he was very blessed, to have some people that believed in him. When we started this process, they felt Peyton was smarter than they presumed competence is, I guess, the best way to put it. We had a advocate that connected you and I, Kim Kredich, and
a 2-time guest on the podcast.
And she is buddy, when she walks into the room at an IEP meeting, it changes. And I think that I remember when we first took Peyton to middle school, it was during COVID in 2020. And he told us where he was out of school, and he was like, I really want to get my gen ed diploma. I don't want to stay in CDCA. So we told the school we were going to fight to get him in there. And we got him to agree to put him back at Farragut, put him in middle school with an aide. The aide did use the letterboard. They were not good with it, but middle school was a lot easier for Peyton. But high school's been a little more challenging. But I remember in the class, and the English teacher, when we went in to meet the teachers, this English teacher was standing there, and she said, hi, Peyton. And Peyton started spelling with his S2C practitioner, and she turned to walk off. And when she turned to walk off, the principal said, excuse me, he's answering your question. And I remember telling Karen that day, I said that he's going to be fine. They believe in him. They see it.
Great. Great for the principal. Yeah.
And we still had some people that doubted it, but what really sealed the deal with Farragut was we took Peyton's iPad and his keyboard, and he was able to spell on a keyboard, and we had it shooting up to a screen on the wall. And people can always, I don't doubt what my son says on the letterboard because I live it every day as you do. Yep. You can doubt that, but when you see a kid typing on a keyboard, it's done. I mean,
how in the world are you going to quote unquote influence communication on a keyboard? Like what? Yeah, I'm with you.
And that's what that was kind of it. And we kept going until we got Peyton. That he has a fully trained aide. I think he's the first one in the state that had an aide that would learn S2C. We've had trouble getting the right person. We've got an amazing person now that really cares about Peyton. And our goal is for him to have his senior year with a fully trained practitioner.
Awesome. So he's working with an aide in school now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. She is Kelly, our S2C practitioner. Kelly trains her. And our goal is, she was just hired in May. So the junior year's been a little tough because, as you know, it takes a long time to learn it.
Takes time. Absolutely.
Yep. But we're hoping by August, when he goes into his senior year, that fingers crossed, everything goes good. He'll have her his senior year, and it'll be a lot easier year for him.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt, because he's been going without an aide essentially for the last few years and just absorbing a lot of the information, right? And the way I understand, right, doing homework and kind of doing it all offline, so to speak, but not having that in-person support yet.
Yeah, he's had an aide, but the aide has not been trained, so it's more like a helper.
Yeah.
But then one thing Farragut did that really helped Peyton and helped to engage him, and we didn't think about this. This one of the assistant principals did was they put a peer tutor with Peyton in all
Oh,
his
great.
classes, because what happened was the aide was trying to take notes and spell with Peyton and get his thoughts, and it was too much. They put a peer tutor to kind of help take notes,
Oh,
and it's been awesome, because we will run into these kids at the mall or at the football games or anywhere, and they come running up to Peyton and they say, "Hey, Peyton," and it's hard to have those relationships. One of them signed a college scholarship um, to play. I think he signed to play football somewhere smaller school, and he invited Peyton to his college signing. So we took Peyton that morning to go to his signing. There's pictures of him. So that's one of the coolest things about this whole process was that peer tutor um, engagement. I think it really meant a lot to him.
that's huge. I
Yeah.
love hearing that. And I could see, yeah, where that would make such a big difference. I mean, I think we've all kind of had those experiences where if and when other students have had the opportunity to interact or be exposed to our kids, they've generally been great. Like I remember even going back to elementary school with Stone, when they actually were a little more inclusive, and he would split his time with one of the gen ed classes and kind of go back and forth between intensive ed and gen ed. The students loved him. As a matter of fact, they had like some kind of like a giant like soft pillow in the classroom, right? Which of course Stone gravitated to.
Yeah.
But they all made sure they chipped in and bought him his own pillow at the end of that school year for him to
That's
have,
pretty cool.
which I thought was really, just a really sweet gesture, and kind of showed again that the kids generally got it, right? Like they wanted to, but it was really unfortunately the grown-ups and some of the others who tend to get in the way.
Yeah. Well, Peyton has, and you probably remember this from May, Peyton has a very hard time if you have anything lint on your shirt anywhere.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
He has to pick it off. And a couple of weeks ago, there was a girl at school, and Peyton was walking through the hall, and she had lint on her shirt, and he grabbed at it. And a teacher saw it, and the teacher went to the office, made this deal about it, and they called the little girl in. The little girl said, "I know Peyton. I've been around Peyton for years. He didn't mean anything by it. He was just getting the lint off my shirt." I mean,
Oh,
so
that's
it's
great.
so cool to see. Like you said, the parents may not understand it, but the kids, they grow up with these kids and
They
they're around
broke,
them. They're
right.
like, yeah. So that's a neat aspect of it. And I think that's why one reason Peyton, he's made it very clear he does not want to change schools. He wants to graduate where he's at. And I wouldn't do that for anything.
I don't blame him. I mean, it sounds like a great setup. I'm really curious, how did you find the right communication partner to help, the aide who's going to help be with him? Because that's something we've thought about, Chad, personally. Again, we've been looking at this. I've been Stone's communication partner throughout. He goes to a one-on-one school. But that can't last forever, right? I mean, he has goals, just like Peyton, to go to college, and we have to think about that. And I know other parents have faced that too. So do you have any tips, or how did you guys go through that process?
I think the one with the school, we have, as I said, middle school, they had aides that had the letterboard and could get enough information to get through middle school. Middle school's not, I mean, these
It's
kids'
something
brains.
though. That's still more than a lot of people. Like I
Yeah.
said, the fact that they even allowed them in. I mean, that was
Yeah,
we
exactly.
we got the hard no just even to have letterboards in that kind of arrangement. That was kind of like that's all I was asking for in our case. And
Yeah.
that was in high school, granted, but still, it was just like, nope, we're not even going to allow that.
Yeah, I think that here, I really think, and I actually talked to the new executive director of the special ed in Knoxville, in Knox County Schools. I was in a class a few weeks ago and he spoke. I told him that we would be interested in helping to facilitate to see if S2C helps the kids in school. I don't know that they are to the point. I really just think that, I don't want to say it's a unicorn, but I almost think that we had a group of people that believed in Peyton. And what my goal is, and I hope people don't watch this and see this, my goal is to figure out how to get it broadened before he graduates high school. Because once he graduates high school, they can wash their hands of it and say, we did our job and we believed in him, got him through. But we want to help the kids behind him. And there's good people, the teachers, the aides, they're all good people and they believe in the kids. I think that finding one here the middle school was easy, but when we got to high school, we went through probably 5 or 6 in 2 years, and not
Oh,
until this
wow.
one we haven't found a good one. No one has gotten close to trained in high school in 2.5 years. The new lady we have now really cares about Peyton, and I think she'll do it. She's been around it enough. I don't know what we'll do when he graduates. I think my wife has a very big passion to maybe pull back from working a little bit and spend more time with Peyton, with college and with the Peyton Project, which would be great for our family. But I'm like you, we've got to find people that outside of mom and dad, because they're gonna be different with people outside of mom and dad. I mean, Peyton's got Kelly. Kelly's his therapist that he started with when he was 10.5. But I would love for Peyton to have somebody that just one-on-one spends time with him daily. That's not mom or dad, that he can be a
different dynamic, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just as close as we are, and I know you and Karen are with Peyton as well. You're still mom and dad, right?
Mhm.
Like it's just
Yeah.
it's still a different dynamic. How often? So I'm curious. How often does Peyton still work with Kelly? How often does he get a chance to get together?
He goes to Detroit 2 days a week.
Oh,
One of the days is with Kelly, and one of the days is with another practitioner. He doesn't see Kelly as much as he used to. Kelly's gotten, I mean, it's really blown up, the Spelling and Communicate in Knoxville. Kelly's busy, but she always makes time for Peyton. Real funny story real quick about Kelly. When Karen and I were doing our living wills and our special need trust a few years ago, I called Kelly and I just said, hey, if something happens to Karen and all I was going to say was, can you be the executor of Peyton's estate? Because we want it to be somebody that can communicate with him. We don't want somebody that can't communicate his needs. And I said, what do you think I was going to ask you to take him? She said, I would. And she was dead serious. She's been a godsend to our family. She loves Peyton. And she does a lot with Evie and IASK as well. So we're very lucky to have her here. Very lucky.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's great to hear. But it sounds like he's still fairly engaged in terms of doing that spelling kind of on a regular basis. I was curious because in our case, again, we've scaled back now. Stone's practitioner that he's worked with pretty much since the beginning she lives in Bellingham, which is about an hour and a half or so from us. So it's a little bit of a trek. It's a little bit more of an investment to go get together. But whenever they do get together, they create magic, which is really, because again, like I said, it's just a very different dynamic. The creative forces come out. And that's one of the things I'm hoping to be able to do a little bit more in the upcoming year.
Yeah. I think one of the nights that he goes to doesn't see Kelly, I think Peyton is more of the seasoned speller, helping. It's a lady that we actually Peyton Project funded her training. So
Awesome.
Peyton is kind of working with her to help her get better. I think it's kind of a two-way street with her. But he does enjoy, if he knows he's going to sit down for an hour with Kelly, it's usually, and I think Kelly gets as much out of it as Peyton does. So it's pretty cool to see.
It's so cool to see that work together and the dynamics. It's just, I'm sure it's the same for you in terms of just, that's been such a really rewarding part of the journey, is just watching the dynamics there. Now I want to pivot to, because we've talked about the Peyton Project a little bit. You alluded to it. Let's talk about the history. So, I mean, like you had talked about Peyton, this was all Peyton's idea.
It was, we had a Christmas that he had about $250, and he said, I want to use it to help other kids. I want to help other kids like me. He was already spelling a couple of years then, and he wanted to try to help other kids. And, it was a little more money than $250 to start a foundation, but mom and dad said, we'll handle that part. And we still have the receipt. The first deposit we ever put into the foundation was his cash. And we've been very blessed to have some people that's jumped on board and helped us with it. We run a golf tournament every year. And then when Ben Credich passed away, we asked Kim and Matt if we could take over the surf camp and make it the Resonant Surf Camp, which Ben's twin brother Miles designed the logo, named it. And like I said, last year was our first one, and we expect that to continue to grow. But it's all about helping, whether it's training practitioners, whether it's paying for hours to see if S2C helps a kid. Uh, and it doesn't have to be just spelling to communicate. If a kid needs a device to help them communicate and it's not spelling to communicate, we still want to help that kid. Anything we can do to make communication easier on an individual or their families is what we try to do.
That's so cool. And it's great that you've gotten the support that you have. I know you've helped a lot of people in a short period of time. And we had talked about the surf camp a little bit. So, but I'll let you talk a little bit more about it, and I'll kind of add my color in terms of, you took it over. What were your expectations kind of for the surfing camp? I know you had been there before, so that probably helped you a little bit.
Yeah, we had went 2 times. We had went with the Creditch family, and it was amazing just to see the kids in the water and see them trying to get up on the surfboards. And when Karen and I took it, and Peyton took it over for last year, we didn't change a lot of things. The only thing we really changed was we wanted to grow the size of it. So we were able to go to about 18 or 19 kids.
Okay.
And we wanted to have something to where we socialize. And that was our big thing. So we rented that house and had the 2 meals there at night. And, I remember Kim Creditch telling me after it was over, she goes, I'd never thought of that. And that was our favorite part of the week.
Yeah.
Because it was us getting to talk to you and other parents and, let the kids interact and they could be themselves. And, kids running around stimming or kids doing whatever. And nobody cared because we're like, hey, we're all, we're all in this together. So that was the coolest part of it. We want to grow it again, but the problem is to do it, they said we could do a morning and afternoon wave. But my problem is all the kids that we have there are going to take the morning and afternoon wave. So we're not going to grow the size of it. We're just going to spend more time in the water. So I think we're going to try to just see how it goes this year. We've already reserved the dates. Indo-Jax is awesome. They bring the instructors out there. They care about the kids, and they do whatever they got to do to get those kids on that surfboard at whatever level or ability they have.
They were amazing. Each and every one of them. Just watching them with the different kids, watching them with Stone. My absolute favorite picture of all last year is the picture that Stone on the surfboard. I mean, just like totally catching the wave. I mean, as I shared it, it got the biggest response on social media because it's just amazing, right? To see him up there riding the wave.
And they just enjoy it. I mean, they're already, the water is so calming to them. But, we also, with Peyton last year, Peyton was having trouble going from his stomach to his knees to his feet. And John, his instructor, just said, dude, we're going to start you on your feet. So they put Peyton on his feet. They took him out on the waves and brought him back in. But I think we try to have, we want siblings there if possible too. So, we don't want it just to be, kids with autism or kids with disabilities. We want it to be, we want them to all be together, enjoying the waves together, playing as a group. And I think I do think it's a unique experience, and I just don't want to have to tell people no this year. So we're going to have to figure out what we got to do, because our group from last year, I think most of them will come back. So we'll probably have some new ones wanting to come in too. So it ought to be fun.
Well, getting back to what you said, like the social part, renting the house and those 2, the 2 meals that we had together really was magical. And I think it's just one of those things that was such a reminder. We've done that a little bit on a local basis here, Chad, and something I wish we could figure out a way to kind of help scale it nationally. And it's really just literally bringing people together, bring our community together. The non-speakers, like you said, they love being together. They don't have to communicate per se. It's hanging out. It's just being with friends. They get each other. They're around others who love them and appreciate them. And there's, like you said, it's judgment free. And just to be able to bond, I remember the conversation I had with Karen and, talking about, some of the difficult early days, right? Like, again, we're not going to gloss it all over. It's not all easy, as we know. There's a lot of work. It's a lot of frustration. financial strain. Like again, you talk about ABA, 30 hours a week, and some of these things. It's nice to just be able to talk with someone who gets it, right? I mean, and no matter where you are in life, I mean, I think we all can relate to that. And having that opportunity was just so special. And I guess I wish we could replicate that
Mhm.
more and more across the country.
Yeah, we do locally, and I'd have to give it to Kelly and Megan, who works for Kelly. Megan works the Detroit for Kelly. She's a S2C practitioner, but she's also our social media person. And they do probably monthly spellers get together. They had a potluck for Thanksgiving or for Christmas. I think they had 50 or 60 people show up. So
Wow, that's
yeah, so
awesome.
they're getting it. They've done a good job, but that might be something. I mean, that might be something we look at how we can spread it across the country with the Peyton Project kind of spearheading. That's a great idea because it is. I mean, I go and you met Trey and Laura and Cole. That's one of Peyton's buddies. They were at
Okay, yeah,
camp.
right.
I'll go have a beer with Trey, and Cole and Peyton will just go there. That's his best buddy, and they'll just go sit there. I mean, they don't talk to each other. They just go sit beside each other, and they both enjoy it. And they both talk about, hey, it's like, I want to go with you and Cole. And it's just like you said, they get each other and they're just comfortable because they're spending time together. So, that's a great idea to figure out a way to do it across the country because that's what the kids need the most is that peer interaction and being with their buddies.
Yeah. I mean, because unfortunately for so many, for a lot of part of their lives, they've lived kind of isolated lives.
Mm.
They've had to watch siblings maybe have, friends, play on sports teams, all these things that, are inclusive with others, and they haven't had that opportunity. And so that's just one of my passions. Obviously, you know me well enough to know I'm a very social person, right? Like I get that connection. And so that was always one of the things that just broke my heart a little bit when Stone was growing up. But
Yeah.
simultaneously makes me so happy. Like it sounds so funny for a non-speaker, but he is like a social butterfly. I mean, he just thrives. He just loves parties. He loves being around others. He just, he thrives in that.
Yeah, they're in their own little world, but they don't want to be there. They want to get out and be around. And my oldest son told us one time, he's like, it's hard to. He spent so many years not having a relationship with Peyton, and then Peyton could spell. And I mean, my dream would be for Evan to be able to spell with Peyton. That would be like, if you want to put Chad's dreams on a level, that would probably be number one, just because I know that
Yeah.
he'd have him his whole life and the relationship. Now Evan's 20. I'm sure in a couple of years he'll get to where he wants to have that interaction. But he told us, he said it was hard because I didn't have that for so long with Peyton. I didn't have that brother thing. Now it's weird, and I've never really talked to anybody about this, but Karen and I our friends, the friends that we engage and hang out with are the ones that are more, I don't want to say, the ones that are different to Peyton, like that they accept Peyton and they talk to Peyton and they treat him like everybody else. It seems like me and Karen are more like, oh, okay, well, this works better for us. Family, friends, whatever, the ones that see him as just one of the kids, it makes it a lot more easier for us to bond, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes tons
Yeah.
of sense. And again, that's a conversation I've had with other parents that can be a challenge, like you said, both in terms of having friends to hang out with. Unfortunately, some I've spoken with have struggled also with relatives, who haven't, for whatever reason, haven't been as accepting of their non-speaking child, which again is just heartbreaking to me. I'm fortunate, we're fortunate that Stone has always had tons of support and love and acceptance kind of across the board, from
Oh yeah.
siblings. But and although, it's been difficult for his twin brother, dealing with that for the same reasons, right? In terms of it's not a typical sibling relationship, but he's equally proud and just really excited about where Stone is now.
Yeah,
Now,
that's all.
Peyton has two siblings though, right?
He has his older brother, Evan, and then he has his younger sister, Caroline. So Evan's 20, Peyton will be 18 in February, and Caroline's 10. So Caroline's kind of the mother hen of Peyton, and she she likes to tell him what he can and can't do around the house, but she takes care of him and makes sure he doesn't get into trouble. So
That's sweet. That's
yeah,
nice that she cares, and that's all she's known, right? Like I guess
yep.
that's probably the difference. It's just like
Mhm.
that's normal for her. That's just what she's used to.
Yeah, she'll tell on Peyton just like she tells on Evan, so it's no different for her.
Two brothers. That's just like that's what sisters do.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Mhm.
Well, one of the things we had talked about ahead of time is we do have a couple of fun segments I want to bring back here in 2026 and reintroduce.
Well,
But we're going to start with our tip of the week, and for each of these, Chad, we actually have some really kind of fun jingles we'll use to introduce them. So we'll start with our autism tip of the week.
Hey parents, gather around, it's time to speak. We're here with your tip of the week. Strategies and wisdom just for you. Autism parents, we know what you go through.
All right, this is going to be our first autism tip of the week of the new year. So, Chad, what do you got for us?
I would say that, like I said earlier, I think the tip of the week is just treat. We've always tried to have a doctor tell us one time to treat Peyton like I treated my other kids. I think that's the key to it is treat them normal. Don't treat them any different than the other kids. And then the two most famous words in spelling to communicate is presume competence with them. If you do those two things, you know Peyton's always listening. You know he's in there. You know he's processing it. He's a lot smarter than his dad is.
Yeah.
I would say that's my big thing is just to treat them normal and presume competence at all times.
That's a great tip, and it's one honestly I wish I had heard earlier in life. Again, we did our best, but this will kind of lead to our parent confessions. We've got a jingle for that too.
Morning routines can go astray. Found socks in the fridge one day. Laughter's the best remedy. Hey, we're just finding our own way. Mom, dad, confessions every week. Sharing joys and moments we seek. Honest tales that make us unique. Join the club, we're never meek.
All right, so like I was telling you ahead of time, Chad, this is our chance to kind of show our humanity, that we're not just super dads and super parents. Well, we are those too, but we're human, right? We make mistakes, and I'll kind of kick this off because you kind of teed it up in terms of presuming competence and treating them just like any other kid. As much as I'd like to say that we did do that, we didn't, and for a variety of reasons. Now, again, we knew, as listeners of the show have heard, that we knew that Stone was smart. I mean, he had shown a lot of different signs. From a very early age, probably age 4 or so, I kind of knew that he was just kind of locked in his brain. But, I think over time, especially with the, you get these repeated standardized tests and assessments that all, like all this so-called data feedback kind of plays on you after a while, and you kind of start thinking, well, maybe there is something to that, right? And not treating him the same way. And like I said, the confession is, he had to hear, and he's told me this, his twin brother was always a gifted student. It just flew through, all of the studies with STEM. And so, he got to hear how smart Ty was, how brilliant Ty was. And we would try to say, hey, Stone, we know you're smart too, right? But he couldn't show it. So he'd have to listen to this growing up. And, in hindsight, that's really hard to, that's one of those things I've had to just kind of reckon with myself, that, again, if I could turn back time, I would take the advice that you had shared earlier.
Yeah, I lived exactly what you lived. I mean, I always felt Peyton listened to me. But I can't say that I always thought he was the smartest kid in the room, because he couldn't communicate and he couldn't tell us anything. I mean, I think that's the life that anybody in our shoes lives, and that's regret we're going to have. The presumed competence, I learned that when he was 10 and a half from Kelly.
Yeah.
So that was 10 years before that. And to this day, Peyton, the smallest task will jumble in his brain. Peyton, do this, this, and this, and give him 3 steps. Well, it's hard for him to kind of process them, but he can sit down and do a 600-word essay on the letterboard or the keyboard for school. So, I think anybody in our shoes has gone through that. I think my biggest confession, and I asked my wife about this because this has bothered me for years, when we were trying to figure out what all was going on with Peyton, because we always thought it was something besides not just autism. I remember the amount, and I hate with a passion needles. Like it's like one of my biggest fears. And I remember the number of times that I held Peyton and they took blood from him or something to check something out. And I've regretted that. And I've told Peyton, like I would sit down and be like, Peyton, I'm sorry. I had to do that. And I'm sorry. And he's like, Dad, I'm okay. You never did anything to hurt me. But I know how much I hate giving blood. And I know I'm sitting there holding my 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old and making him do it. So that's been my biggest regret is this. I don't think I ever put him through anything bad, but when I was his age, I would have probably went through the roof trying to get out of that room to do that. So I'd say it's one of my big ones.
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as confessions go, that's not bad, Chad. I mean, again, because that's for you're doing it out of love. And again, you bring back memories. I remember doing the same thing, like you said. I think we've had kind of parallel paths that with many parents, probably with holistic doctors, practitioners, right, doing the blood draws, trying to see what's going on. Do they need chelation? Also doing the IVs, right, where you try to cleanse them. I mean, there's just a lot of those types of things. Did you do B12 shots? Speaking of shots,
we did B12 shots at one time, but I don't think we did them long. Karen's a pharmacist, so she was understood all that stuff a lot better than I did. But we did do B12 shots, but I don't think we did them that long. There was so many things, and it's so crazy you and I to talk about it, because there was like I remember there was these pills that you could, gel capsules that were, I don't know what they were called, Speak or something, and they had them and you took them, and then 2 years later we got some in the mail saying you're eligible for a lawsuit. These didn't work. So I mean, there was so many different things that you tried to do, but at the end of the day, I look back on it, I'm like, I never tried to do something that wasn't just to try to help Peyton. So I mean, that's our goal. I mean, to this day, I've got 3 kids, and my goal is to, whatever I do for those kids, to help them. So you can't look back on it with too much regret.
No. I mean, we do whatever we can with the information we have, at those times. It's all with an eye just to help them, just to unlock them. I'm laughing because, again, I keep threatening to do that. I need to do this. I need to take a picture, Chad, of our medicine cabinet downstairs, and to show, like, again, all of the different supplements and herbs and drops and everything, like all the ones that are still left over. Like, I don't know, it's maybe more embarrassing depending on your perspective, but again, not really. I mean, you do what you can, but it kind of shows, it's a real visual demonstration of, like, this is the length that we go through for our kids. That, again, is, I think, invisible for 99% of the population. They have no clue.
Yeah, Peyton takes some Zoloft and melatonin now at night usually, but I can't tell you a time that Peyton has not taken a syringe of medicine at night for probably 13 or 14 years. I mean, now it's just what we talked about, just a Zoloft and melatonin, but he's always had something to help with anxiety, or he had fish oil, or he had this, or he had, I mean, I'm like, I know they tasted awful, every one of them, but I'm just like, another thing you had to do to, he's never been able to swallow pills. So we've always,
okay.
For him. Yeah.
We're lucky. Stone is a champ with pills. Yeah. Has been for a number of years. But again, I wish I discovered it sooner, because again, a lot of these liquid forms of some of these different things.
Liquid fish oil. Oof.
I ruined, like yogurt, applesauce, like all these things that, I would try to hide it in before, are ruined for Stone forever. Like, like he won't touch it, because it's just, we ruined it for them. So I guess that's another confession. I'm full of them today.
I understand. We could probably sit here and come up with a lot of confessions. I do have a funny Peyton story. It's not a confession, but he's having some issues with his. We found out his pelvic floor. He's having some issues with it.
Okay.
So we took him to a specialist. And last Tuesday, we were all under the weather a little bit last week. Last Tuesday, we came back from the pelvic floor specialist evaluation, and it was about 7:00 at night. And they had told Peyton, they said, we want you to eat, go for a walk, and then try to use the bathroom every night at the same time and see if we can get a pattern. So Peyton come in there to me, and I was laying on the couch. I didn't feel good. And Karen was wrapping presents, and he come to me and grabbed at my hand. I said, okay, give me a second, bud. And like 2 minutes later, Karen got up and Peyton was gone, like nowhere to be found. So we ran around outside. My neighbor heard us on the Ring doorbell yelling. I called 911.
Oh my gosh.
Couldn't find Peyton anywhere. And I go in the front yard. It had been about 12 minutes. I go in the front yard and I hear his noise. And I'm like, okay, he's okay. I hear the noise. And then all of a sudden I heard his Crocs hitting the street. And he had heard me yelling. He was running back down the street. And he got back to me, and I got him inside and I hugged him. And I said, I got the letterboard. I said, what were you doing? He said, I went for a walk like the doctor told me to.
Oh, wow.
So he had got that. Dad said, give me a second. So he just went by himself. So then Karen said, well, Peyton, if we wouldn't, because Peyton's never done that by himself.
He was never an eloper or anything.
No,
like
never has left, and never left outside of probably maybe our neighbor's house. He's walked right here. But so Karen said, well, did you hear us yelling for you? And he said, I did on my way back. And she said, well, Peyton, what would you have done if we didn't come looking for you? He said, I'd have came home. So it was kind of a blessing for us. Yeah. Because at first I was like, oh my gosh, he's left. I don't know where he's at. But it was a lot. And I don't know if that's a confession, but if they grab you by your hand, you need to go wherever they want you to go, because that might be my confession. Because he just said, I'm out, buddy. You're going to sit on the couch. I got this.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you said, it's kind of a double-edged sword, whatever you want to say, right? Like it shows progression. I mean, that shows growth. I mean, that's all the things that, again, you want out of your child. But when it happens, when you're not expecting it necessarily, it's equally terrifying, because
it showed a lot of great things 30 minutes after he got home. While he was gone, it didn't show anything good. But when he got home, we kind of unboxed some of it, and we were like, you know what, this could have been a good thing. Now I don't want to do it again, but it could have been a good thing.
That's a great perspective to have. So what's the vision for the future for the Peyton Project? We talked a little bit about Peyton going to college. Has he talked about, is he planning on like going to UT or any other schools? Or,
you know, I think he would. I can't imagine a school not wanting a speller, you know, to be there. I mean,
I'm with you.
Notoriety they get. And I remember he met Elizabeth Bonker at IASC a few years ago.
Oh, great.
All he wanted to tell her was, I want to go to college like you. And that's Peyton's goal. And, you know, I think that it'll be an independent typing on a keyboard is always going to be hard for Peyton because of and you know, all this, the slant of the keyboard and all that stuff. So
there's a lot.
He's always going to need somebody to help him. So I would love to say we're going to have somebody, and if we don't, then it's probably going to end up being Karen. But I think he absolutely will. I think he'll absolutely go through college, and you know, if it takes him 8 years instead of 4, that's great. At least it gives him 8.
Right. I love that. Yeah.
But that's our goal with him personally, I think. And then I would love for Peyton and whoever else, Cole, Stone, whoever, I would love to have these. I would love these kids to kind of run the Peyton Project. You know, it doesn't need to be, it needs to be the people that's lived it and understand it, understand what these kids go through and what these people need. But I think that we're going to continue to grow it. We've branched into North Carolina. We've helping somebody in Virginia, I think, not Virginia, North Carolina and Ohio and one other state. Karen's helped to train somebody in, but we're just going to continue to grow that. We've done a lot locally and in the Southeast right here, but we want to continue to grow it and help everybody. I mean, as long as we can raise the money, we're just going to continue to help people to, you know, because if we can train one practitioner, Chelsea, that works for Kelly, we trained her, and she she did 1,300 hours of S2C last year. That's a lot different. That's helping a lot of people. You get 10 people that's doing 1,300 hours a piece. That's a lot of people that's getting hours and getting the help they need. So if you know anybody that needs to be trained, you know who to call.
No, that's great to know. I mean, because that is that's probably, it's hard to prioritize, but I would say one of the top needs that we as a community face in terms of, again, when I think of non-speakers and families, is we know that the word is getting out, fortunately, right? Like, finally, families are learning about successes like Peyton and Stone and many, many others now. So the demand is going up to the point, though, we don't have enough trained practitioners across the country right now to support them. Even in Seattle, you would think it would be, one of the areas, and there aren't. There literally are like maybe 2 practitioners here in Seattle who are just overwhelmed with, requests. And so it's one of the goals is like, how the heck do we get trained practitioners? How do we help increase that?
I think that's the key is when we first started this, our goal was to say we'll pay for 8 sessions for a kid to see if it works. And we thought that would be
great. That's a great, I like that. Yeah.
That would be like $1,000. We could pay it. And then if it works, the parent would take it over and move forward with it. And a friend of mine just said, dude, you're doing the wrong way. You can help people like that. But if you pay, I think it's $3,500. I don't know what it is now to train somebody. I said, but if you pay to train that person, they see 20 kids a year. Now you're helping more people.
Right?
Yeah, exponentially. So I'm serious. If you have people out there, I mean, I think we have 5 people trained in Knoxville now, and I honestly think they could probably use a couple more. There's cities in Tennessee. Chattanooga doesn't have, I don't think, anybody completely trained yet, but there's cities in Tennessee that still don't have people. So, I think that's the key to it, and I think that's partnering with I Ask More on how we do it. We do talk to Evie and Elizabeth Vossler about stuff that we're doing to try to do it. Peyton this past year, I thought I had it up here, but I don't have it. He got the Peyton Project got the Community Impact Award from IASK for 2025. So that was
awesome.
That was a proud thing for all of us, our little 501c3 in Tennessee to do that. So
congratulations. That's well deserved.
I appreciate it. Just continue to grow and try to help as many people as we can, and just see where it goes from there. And hopefully Karen can start doing it more full time so that it's not I don't need another job right now.
No, you're literally wearing multiple hats.
Yes, right? Yes.
But, and just again, maybe for the viewers and listeners, what is your day job, Chad?
So I work for Visit Knoxville, which is the Convention and Visitors Bureau in Knox County in Knoxville, and I run the Sports Commission and the Convention Sales Department. So bringing people to town to visit, whether it's through sports conventions or meetings. So it stays pretty busy. So we got that, and I do a few other things on the side, but then I've got I would be lying if I said I enjoy the Peyton Project stuff more than all the other stuff, though. That's kind of
it's
the fun part.
It's a project of passion, right?
That's it.
I mean, it's like this podcast for me, and the advocacy that we do. Yeah, I mean that's where our heart lies and where we see the impact.
Yeah.
Well, Chad, thank you so much. Oh, before I forget, where can people find the Peyton Project?
You can we're on Instagram, the Peyton Project. We're on Facebook, and then you can also go to the website, thepeytonproject.com, PEYTON project.com. Awesome.
Yeah. And there's a lot of great stuff there. I've been a visitor myself, and sounds like there'll be some information coming out shortly about the surfing camp. And we'll definitely be making our plans to come back east to get together again, which we can't wait to do.
By far, the longest commute for that camp was from you guys, so we appreciate that.
We want an award this time.
I don't think I can get anybody much farther than where you guys are.
No, so that's
we'll do it again though. It'll be fun.
It's great. Well, thanks again, Chad, and thank you to all the listeners and viewers out there. Just a reminder again, drop us a note. We'd love your feedback. Email us at david.kaufer@hay.com. You can also check out my website. It's davidkaufer.com. If you have any ideas for other guests or segments you'd like to see us cover in the upcoming year, let us know. So until next time, We'll catch you again on the lighter side of the spectrum.